They always say that in a missing persons case, the quicker the better. The first 24 to 48 hours are crucial in finding that person. But what about 5 days later? That's precisely what happened to Brianna Maitland in 2004 in Montgomery, Vermont. She was 17, and this is her story. Hello, I am Sean, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. And if you are returning, then great to see you again. Twice a week, I research true crime that I find interesting and tell it to you. I want to make sure that the victims are remembered. There's a lot of victims out there, and there's a lot of victims to remember. So, if you're not subscribed, please do so. It is free. And if you want, there are membership options that just get you extra benefits, like seeing it early or having some input on what I do next. If you have any ideas for future crimes, please feel free to leave me a message and you might get to see that on an upcoming show. So, on with today's crime. Brianna Alexandra Maitland was born October 8th, 1986, to Bruce and Kelly Maitland in Burlington, Vermont. She was raised with her older brother on a farm close to the Canadian border. When she was younger, she was trained in jiu-jitsu. That's a hard word to say. Jiu-jitsu. When she was 17 years old, it was in October of 2003, she wanted to be closer to her friends. She just had moved high schools and her friends were not at her new high school. So she wanted to be closer to them. So she moved out of her house and she essentially couch surfed from friend's place to friend's place, attending school with them. This happened until February of 2004 when she finally just dropped out of school and moved in with her friend Jillian Stout. This was in Sheldon, Vermont. She started to complete her GED to get her diploma. Prior to her disappearance, she had filed charges against Kaylee LaCrosse. It was an incident at a party one night where LaCrosse physically assaulted Brianna when she saw her interacting with her boyfriend. One of Brianna's friends said that she didn't fight back, even though she had martial arts training. And I'm assuming that's why she didn't fight back, because a lot of martial arts say don't. Brianna suffered a broken nose and a concussion from this assault. Later, it was determined that LaCrosse had nothing to do with her disappearance, though. On March 19th, 2004, Brianna took a GED exam and had lunch with her mother. She was talking about her college plans and seemed excited for her future. They spent that afternoon running errands. While they were waiting in a line at a store, Brianna excused herself and left the store. Her mother found her out in the parking lot, and she said that her daughter seemed shaken, agitated, and kind of unnerved. She didn't push the fact, though, and Brianna just said that she needed to go home and prepare for work. Her mother did leave it at that and didn't do anything else. Around 4 p.m., she was dropped off where she stayed with Stout. This would be the last time she'd see her daughter. Brianna worked at the Black Lantern Inn. It was a restaurant in Montgomery. She drove her 1985 Oldsmobile sedan there, and she worked until about 11:20 at night. She told her coworkers that she needed to get some sleep because she had to work early in her second job in the morning. They wanted her to go out partying with them, and she said no. So she left the business alone. The next day, a little after noon, a Vermont state trooper went to a house about a mile away from the Black Lantern Inn. It was on Route 118 outside of Richford. Backed into this building, well, they call it a home, but it just looks like a rundown shack. But backed into it was Brianna's car. The house was known as Dutch Burn House, and a piece of plywood broke off of the window and was laying on the trunk of her car. Laying on the front seat of her car were a pair of paychecks, and outside the car, the police officer found some change, a water bottle, and an unsmoked cigarette. The trooper thought it was just some drunk that just crashed and abandoned his vehicle there, so they had it towed. No missing person report was stated or started, and no one knew that she was actually gone. Like I said, the trooper just thought it was abandoned. When Jillian came home, she assumed Brianna was staying someplace else for a couple days, either with her mom or with friends, because there was a note saying, "Hey, I have to work this weekend, and I'll see ya." But on Tuesday, March 23rd, she contacted Kelly, Brianna's mom, and stated, "Hey, I haven't seen her. Is she there with you?" And Kelly's like, "No, she hasn't stopped by here." So Kelly started calling around, called her jobs, and they hadn't seen her. And that's when they decided to make a report with the police department. On the 25th, Brianna's parents went to State Patrol in St. Albans. They already had previously made the report the day before, but the sheriff's department, or State Patrol wanted her pictures, so they took them some pictures so they can get it out there about her being missing. While there, one of the troopers showed them a picture of the car in the hole that crashed in the old house, and they identified that as Brianna's. After she was reported missing, some people came forward stating that they did see the car out at the Dutch Burn House. One person said that he drove by sometime between 11:30 and 12:30 at night, the night that she worked, so the 19th into the 20th. And he stated that the car was there and the headlights were on, but didn't see anyone around. Another man said that they drove by around 12:30 and saw the car with their doors open, but the headlights were off, but the turning signal was flashing. And then around 4 a.m., a former boyfriend of Brianna's drove by and thought, "Hey, that's her car." And he went up there and shut off the light and shut the doors. But he didn't think anything of it. He said no one was there. And then one last person came forward and said that they drove by in the morning and thought it was really odd, so they stopped and took pictures of the car. They stated that they saw some change, a water bottle, a bracelet, and a necklace on the ground. I don't know why the police officer didn't say anything about the bracelet or necklace, and it was never mentioned anywhere else in any of my readings except for one. So I don't even know if that's true or not. The Vermont State Police did not feel that there was really any foul play of this disappearance. They seriously felt that she had just ran away and just was a runaway, but it didn't stop them from investigating. They searched on foot with dogs all around the Dutchborn house, but they found nothing. The state crime lab processed her car on March 30th and then returned it to the family. Once back at home, Bruce searched his daughter's car, and inside of it he found her ATM card, her glasses, her contact lens case, and migraine medicine. and then she had some clothing and other stuff scattered around in the car. Later, the state police did finally determine that there might have been some foul play in Brianna's disappearance. The FBI stated that the scene where the car was placed looks like it was actually staged. Her parents thought that it had to have been multiple people that abducted her because with her jiu-jitsu training, she could have easily taken on one assailant, or at least that's what they were thinking. In the weeks following her disappearance, the police received an anonymous tip that she was in Berkshire, Vermont. They said that she was being held against her will. The house was rented by Raymond Ryans and Nathaniel Jackson. They were both drug dealers from New York. The house was raided on April 15th, 2004. Drugs and drug paraphernalia were found, but Brianna was not. During the interview, some of Brianna's friends stated that she had started to experiment with drugs and that she was familiar with both of these drug dealers. But they went on and claiming, they didn't have her, they didn't do anything to her. Later in 2004, the police got an anonymous statement from an older female who claimed that both Ryan and Jackson were involved in Brianna's disappearance and murder. The signed affidavit gave graphic details that Brianna was murdered a week after she went missing. It said that they dismembered her and then disposed her in a pig farm. Unfortunately, none of this could be corroborated, but that's what this lady said. And of course, she was anonymous, so it never came out who she was. The Maitlands also reported that they had received an anonymous phone call telling them that their daughter was tied to a tree in the woods. They received another anonymous phone call saying that their daughter was at the bottom of the lake, or a lake, and I don't know what type of sick people would call parents and say that, unless it was true, but just some sick individual that has no idea just to call and torment the parents. I think they're going through enough hell as is that their daughter's missing. In 2004, the Maitlands created a website titled bringbriehome.org. It only lasted until 2009, but on that site they posted a reward for $20,000 for information about her whereabouts. The reward expired in July of 2017. In 2006, there was an unidentified woman at a casino in Atlantic City that resembled Brianna. She was never identified, and I don't understand, but it was in a couple of the other articles that I was reading as being a possible sighting of her. In 2012, law enforcement looked at a possible connection between Brianna's disappearance and a serial killer named Israel Keys. This guy had committed murders and some R's in Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. He also did it in Vermont and New York. And apparently he had some property in the state of New York. The connection eventually was ruled out by the FBI in December of 2012. This is soon after he unalived himself. So I don't know how they ruled him out, but they just ruled him out. And since he's unalived, he can't really tell us anything either. In March of 2016, it was Brianna's 12th year of being missing, and a TV station stated that DNA was recovered from Brianna's car. The test results were not made public, and in July, the house that the car was found stuck in had burnt down, and nobody had any idea how that happened since it was an abandoned home. Nothing came out of that DNA. They just stated that they had recovered DNA from the car and they were testing it. In March of 2022, the Vermont State Police stated that they found a match to the DNA. They never released the identity of this person. They did say that it was one of 11 people that they tested, and they added that the person was being cooperative with them. But there is nothing else about it. Well, the only other thing that I found about it is that they ruled that person out. But it's like, seriously? I mean, if you have the DNA, never mind. To this day, Brianna's disappearance remains unsolved. You know, somebody knows something. Somebody saw something. Somebody has been living with this secret for way too long. You know, if she is deceased, she deserves a funeral. If she's alive, she has a lot of friends and family that are eager to know. And if you are alive and you just ran away, you know, at least say something, even if you don't want to, you know, pop up anymore or be part of that family or anything like that. At least say something. I don't know. It's sad when people go missing and you don't know jack about it. So, hope she's still alive someplace and living the life of luxury, but if she is deceased, I really wish somebody would come forward. And obviously, they've been doing a lot of anonymous stuff with this case. So, anonymously call and say, hey, this is where your daughter is, or hey, I know where she's located, and leave it at that. Let her parents bury her if she's deceased. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, then please do so. It helps you stay up to date with my content. Other than that, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. I'll see you next time. Be good to yourself and be good to others. It's all we can really do nowadays. Love you all. See you next time.